You have insurance, you have a claim. How do you ensure that any claim that you make is paid fairly by the insurance company? That is a discussion that me and my guest, Jack Hanks, who is the CEO and president of Velocity Public Adjusting, have today on Construction Genius. Jack has deep experience since 1989 in the space of public adjusting, and as such, he has insights into how contractors can maximize the payout that they receive from their insurance companies. We talk specifically about how vital documentation is, how it's so important to make sure that you have the right coverages in place for the projects that you're building, and in honor of the Godfather's 50th anniversary, we talk a lot about how to separate emotion from business decisions. It's not personal, it's business. And sometimes when it comes to those claims, and I would submit many times when it comes to those insurance claims, you have to separate your emotions and make a business decision so that you can maximize the amount of money that you get paid without having to go through the pain and agony of unnecessary and probably unfruitful litigation. So as I always say, enjoy my conversation with Jack. Give us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts, and share the show with other people. Thanks again for listening to Construction Genius today. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Jack, welcome to Construction Genius.
Thank you very much, man. We're excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on because we're going to talk about an area of pain and difficulty and challenge.
Fun topics, right?
I know, right? We're going to talk about claims. So let's just dive right into it. Why do contractors get underpaid on their claims?
Well, I mean, the biggest reason I can tell you, like in any business, yours, mine, the contractors, the insurance companies now are very much for-profit organizations, and they're more worried about their premiums and their policy or their shareholders getting a profit turned than paying out the proper amounts on an insurance claim. So they're controlling the input of the money, and they're controlling the output of the money as well, which makes it extremely difficult when you do have a claim, when you're fighting Goliath with a little pebble, right? So it's an unfair fight. It's a very unbalanced playing field, unfortunately.
Do you know any insurance companies where that's not the case, or have you been able to develop relationships with people where you've made the process smoother?
Well, I mean, I've been doing this since 1989. So about midway through the 90s, it changed a little bit when a company called McKinsey did a report for Allstate. Back when I was a contractor back in the day. I was a restoration contractor.
Cool.
Early on in my career. And, we used to meet the adjuster on site, go over everything. And they used to stroke us a check for what was fair and reasonable. We go get the work done and move on. Well, now it's all about profit-driven entities and making sure the shareholders are compensated and the presidents of these insurance companies are compensated. And they're big. Insurance companies have become large marketing firms. Every sporting event you're at, every sporting event you watch on TV, Allstate, State Farm, Nationwide, Peyton Manning, and all. I mean, that's what they're heavily marketing, get those dollars to roll in, and then they've created a path to control the out cash lay of the claim process. So it's changed dramatically. I'm not saying all insurance companies or all adjusters are evil. I'm saying they have a different approach of doing business than most. And, companies like ours, and we're the watchdog of that to make sure we try to get things on an even, level playing field for everyone. So everybody has a fair shot of being compensated properly is the key. Not overcompensated, not undercompensated, but compensated fairly and whatever the right number is,
let's explore that a little bit. And you understand both sides of the business. So when you say fair compensation, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you have a claim and it's a $10,000 claim, you should receive $10,000, right? Not 3,000, not 4,000, not 30,000, but 10,000. So as a public adjuster, our motto and our credo and our ethical duty is to get the claim adjusted correctly. It has very to do with, it doesn't really, the policy is the driving force. If there's coverage, on the data loss, what does that entail, and how much does it cost to get those repairs done? That's what we're really looking at, and we're going to certainly side with the insured on that to make sure they're treated fairly. And if you think about it, the insurance company logically wants to pay the minimum amount they can, if anything at all, to keep their profits in house, right? And they have every right to do so. But at the same time, I'm not sure how fair that is, right? So
right. So then, what can a contractor do to prepare for claims? Because claims are going to happen with every company, so that the process is as smooth as possible.
Well, the first thing to know is know your policy, man. I mean, like all of us, right? When you go buy the last thing you want to do is write a big insurance check for coverage and policies, because it's a big pain in the butt and it's expensive, and you never, ever, ever, ever need it until you really, 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 really need it, is the problem.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And, like all of us, you go buy a house, or you buy your business liability insurance, and first thing out of everyone's mouth is, hey, I need to save as much as I can. What's the bottom line coverage I can get to get things, so I'm not exposed much. And, I want to take a little bit of risk, right? Well, the problem is, we get these policies, and these, especially in commercial policies, we have some policies that are 400 or 500 pages long.
Yeah.
And there's multiple carriers involved. And we have one in Texas I got in yesterday that had 3 different policies. And it took us over 2.5 hours to read through it to find the exact deductible that was owed to the client for that particular hailstorm. But it took myself and 2 of my staff members going through that thing to get the right information for the client, because it's so it's a big document, and it's very confusing. And they give coverages, they take coverages away, add it back in over here. Certain criteria has to be met, and there's certain duties that the policyholder has to have when they do have a claim. So the biggest thing I can tell everyone is do a great policy review. Brokers and agents usually try a good job of getting the things done correctly, but man, at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's buyer beware. So whatever you write that check for, whatever they get you, whatever the policy you buy, you own that thing for a year, good or bad, or whatever exclusions you said you're up for is usually the ones you need when the claim does happen. So you got to be very diligent in that, and be very, very, very proactive to know what you have before something happens. And then, when you do have a claim, stop everything you're doing and document the living hell out of it. What time, photos, and you can't take enough photos. And, we tell our clients, write a little narrative. Here's what happened. Just put it down.
Okay. So let's just go slowly through that real quick.
Sure.
So documentation.
Yep.
You would say step 1. What would be step 1?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop whatever they're doing. And
now, when you say stop, who should stop?
Whoever the client is with the claim.
Okay, but what I mean by that, so let's say I'm a commercial contractor, I'm running a bunch of different projects, I get a claim. Should it be the project manager, the project executive, the CEO? Who needs to stop?
Well, if it's a contractor who has a claim on one of his jobs, he needs to stop everything he's doing on that particular job and start taking a million photos and start documenting exactly who, what, when, and why it happened. And don't make any coverage decisions on your own. And photographs paint the picture. And also, you want to do your own narrative. You want to control that scene. You don't want to start making a mess for everybody, so nobody knows what the heck's going on and contaminating the environment, because there is going to be an investigation done on our side.
So just real slowly so I've stopped, and what you're saying, Jack, is the first thing I should do is send someone out to the job site to take photographs and to begin to build a narrative of what's occurred.
Yep.
So that means I need to make sure that my guys and gals are not working in the area of the claim. And Now, when you say a narrative, what goes into an excellent narrative that is going to maximize my ability to get my money?
Weather conditions, timing, conditions of the job, who was present, who saw what. It's think about it as one of those crime shows, unfortunately, those forensic files.
No, it's good. It's good.
Every little hair, every little screw, every little what caused the damage. Why did it happen? Was it a weather related incident? Is it raining like crazy? Was it hailing? How did the fire start? And then take photo. And another big thing is whoever's involved or saw what happened, make sure you have their information, because you're going to want their testimony especially on a larger claim. You're going to want all the facts and the findings that come out. You want all the people on your side that saw what happened. So get their information, phone numbers, email addresses, driver's licenses, and some people are going to not want to get involved, but the more, once again, it's all about data collection and keeping that integrity of the scene and of the claim, right? So you want to just everything. We tell our clients, you cannot have enough photos. You cannot have enough information for us.
What about video?
Videos are great. We've had a lot of hail claims and tornado claims. We've won simply because the owner of the property, while they're standing there, has their camera phone out and they're videotaping the hail coming down on their property. Right. And if you have that it is, so it's basically you're pinpointing the time of the claim, exactly what happened, the size of whatever happened. And that's, photos and film don't lie, right? None of us can change that. It's facts are facts are facts. So
should I be interviewing people who are on the job site? Should I do that kind of stuff? How admissible is that in your experience?
Well, it's very admissible, right? So, here's the thing, that people's memory fades, right?
Yeah.
You and I are not going to remember exactly what we talked about 3 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
But 5 minutes from now, we will. So you want to kind of get as many facts accumulated as you can quickly, because once again, if I see a car wreck today and want to talk about it 5 weeks from now, I may not have all the facts straight. I'll forget what time it was. I may forget what day it was. I may forget if the guy was turning left, right, sideways. You know what I mean? We're all busy and things are going on. And, like all of us, that really is not that important to us 5 weeks from now. So, but it's fresh in our minds and fresh in our memories. So you want to collect all that data and don't rely on, unfortunately, in the claim process, you're guilty until proven innocent, right? So
what do you mean you're guilty until proven innocent? What do you mean there?
Well, the burden of proof is on the insured. Here's what happened and here's why it happened, right? And then the insurance company is going to do everything they can to find a way not to cover that, because they don't want to write checks, right?
Yep.
So they're going to try to find a way, like, well, here's the exclusion for this, here's why. But you want to pepper them with data so that you want to limit your exposure of risk there, right? You want to build your case up. So
we've got, this is critical. I'm going slow through this just so that we're clear. You've got stop. That's the first one.
Yep.
And then document and get the rich data, video, photographs.
Yep.
People's information. And then you're building the narrative.
Yep.
Now, how long between stop and narrative building? How much time should I leave there?
Oh, you want to do it as quickly as possible, right? Once again, it's all fresh in everyone's memories. So, and then on a larger claim, you probably want to get a hold of your risk manager. You want to get a hold of your broker, and if it is a larger claim, you may want to think about bringing a third party, either public adjuster and or an attorney in to make sure that you're represented properly. Because once again, if you think about it, Nationwide and Farmers and all, they have all their experts lined up already who are professionals at handling a claim. If you're a contractor, you are an expert at building a building and reading blueprints and getting vendors and subs and things like that. Well, claim processing is a different world, and it's completely foreign to most people out there. Like building a building is foreign. I have no idea. It's not my It's not my expertise, right? So you want to have someone on your side, an advocate, once again, a public adjuster, an attorney, someone like on your side, just to take a look at everything, make sure it's all going to be copacetic and okay. And people get hesitant with that a little bit because, I'm going to make sure my insurance companies, I'm going to trust them, right? Well, I get that. At the same time, if you're talking a large loss with millions of dollars at stake,
yes,
I wouldn't. I would if I break my arm today, I'm going to the orthopedic surgeon. I'm not going to the drive-through mechanic to look at it, right? So I want to go to my expert. That's
So,
like you guys hire architects to draw plans. You don't hire a plumber to draw architect plans. Same thing, right?
yep. So then, what is the biggest mistake you see contractors make, even if they're doing this documentation process? What do they tend to miss that bites them in the butt later on?
Well, sometimes they have a tendency, like in all of us, they over talk, and sometimes it's okay to listen and not say the. You don't have to over talk, right? If it's not
Give me an example of that. What do you mean by that?
Oh boy, we've had several claims where the client, the minute we get a notice of reputation signed by our client and send to the insurance company, it says right on there, you're done talking to the carrier. You are done speaking to them, because carriers are gonna, if it's gray, it's gonna go towards them. If there's a middle area that's not for sure on coverage, they're gonna lean towards them and not pay or either deny or underpay the claim. So we tell our folks like this, you don't need to, it's okay to say, I'm not sure. Yes. And you don't have to answer all these questions because they're trying to put you in a light. Let your team behind you who you hired kind of do the investigation, answer those vague, difficult questions, because once again, you're probably guilty till you're proven innocent on these claims. So one word can change the whole narrative. The word maybe, or I'm not sure, or you know what, maybe it was on this date, or was, you know what I mean? It could change a lot of things. And you got to be very, very careful. And it's just unfortunately, it's just how it is. And people don't get that until they experience it. And then their head starts spinning. And then sometimes it's, next thing you know, the insurance company has 800 pages of documentation and we're coming in with none. And we're like, oh my Lord.
Right.
So, yeah, it's difficult.
Okay. So I've got stop, I've got document, I've got build a narrative. And then from what you're saying then is reach out to third parties if necessary in order to get some help.
Yep.
So in your role as a public claims adjuster, what is the help that you bring to the table that is most beneficial?
Well, so number one, we're licensed to handle these claims. My firm is licensed in 38 states across the country. So we know the laws and the statutes and how these policies read. And every policy is very quirky and very different. And once again, one word in a policy can change the entire narrative of the claim and the policy. So we dissect those policies down to a science to find out, we want to put the client in the best light possible so these claims are paid efficiently. So we review these policies head to toe, backwards, frontwards, upside down, inside out, to find exactly what they have and what they don't have. That's what we do. And then at the same time, we are experts in preparing a proof of loss and an estimates, and we compile the data for a very tight submission package to the carrier. So because we know what they're looking for, we know how to get these. It's like your CPA doing your taxes. They know exactly how to take all the stuff you give them, package it up so it's in your best light. So when it's sent to the IRS, it flies through. You get your refund or your minimal payout, and you're done, and it's clean. It's the same thing on a claim. We know how to take this big pile of stuff, that's burned and documentations, and put it all together in a narrative and a submission where it makes sense and it's true and factual, and it's gonna go through the system a little bit easier than if you're trying to do on your own.
So let me take you back a little bit.
Okay.
So you're an expert at understanding insurance policies and where the insured stands in terms of being able to handle collect from a claim. What, in your experience, are the main errors that contractors make when entering into an insurance policy? What's usually missing where it's kind of repetitive there? Give me some feedback, please.
We're seeing a lot of there's a lot of exclusions out there, right? Asbestos and mold and contaminants and pollutants and things like that. Especially for the restoration guys, I know a lot of them have a heck of a time getting coverage to do the mold work and the asbestos work because it's deadly if it's not handled properly, right? So it's very difficult. So in the roofing community, I know you have to have a certain policy and license typically to do any work over a third story in many states. And a lot of guys, if you're or they don't have the proper coverage to do hot mopping. I mean, back in the day, hot mopping was a big deal. Not so much anymore, but it still happens, right? And once again, you have to have a certain policy in place to perform high roof installations. You got to have a certain policy for hot mopping. And if you don't, and you have a claim, it's not going to be covered. Nick, you can lose your whole business in 2 seconds.
So then I'm a contractor. I'm purchasing insurance. I'm up for renewal or something like that. I'm looking at my options. And obviously the process that I have for purchasing insurance and the type of insurance I purchase has a tremendous impact on when I have a claim. So what advice would you have for contractors to make sure that when they're buying insurance, it's going to help them to actually get paid when they need to get paid in the future?
Well, once again, I have a third party look at it. Have a not your agent or your broker. Have an attorney look at it. Have a public adjuster look at it. And I know all times too. Have your clients look at it, because I know a lot of times the contractors have clients that have certain specific language of a policy they need to have to do the work to be on their vendor list.
Right.
You know, like I know the large property management companies like CBRE and these other guys, Richard Ellis, they have a whole portfolio of stuff. Like, here's what I need to have the coverage for you to be able to do the work. Yep. So I would take all that stuff and say, here, broker guy, here's what I need. Here's what I need to do this work. And then when you get it back, double check it to make sure that X plus Y equals Z, you're not leaving something out, because that can, you could probably get the work done and then they could find a loophole in that and not get you paid. So you have to, so I don't think people understand insurance policies are contracts. Okay.
Yes.
You are contractually bound with your insurance company, and you have duties to perform and they have duties to perform.
Yes.
Your duty is to pay the premium and then to mitigate any damages and report the loss in a certain amount of time. There's certain conditions of that policy that all insureds have to live with when a claim does happen. Same thing on the other side. When a claim does happen, the insurance company has certain conditions they have to do procedurally per statute and law to get the thing handled. And those things you have to watch out on both sides of those. And you can usually have a valid claim and not perform the duties properly per your policy, and it's going to be void and not going to get paid. Then you lose your license, you lose your business, you're going to get sued. It's a horrible situation to be in, and it seems like every time somebody does try to take a shortcut, it's when the claim happens and that shortcut, it comes back to bite them. So it's what is that? Penny wise, pound foolish. That's,
yeah. Yep.
Exactly what happens. And, insurance, I know workman's comp's ridiculously high. I know liability insurance is very high, but at the same time, that 30, 40, 50 grand a year, whatever you guys spend, it's life-changing if you don't have it. And it's scary and it's expensive, but it's one of those damned if you do. And if you don't, you're playing with fire,
How, if you were a contractor, knowing what you know about the industry and the way things go, how often would you be reviewing your policies and putting your broker to the test on pricing, et cetera, et cetera?
I would, well, God, right now it's nuts because the materials are out of control, right? Yeah. So your costs are through the roof, and I'm sure your numbers are through the roof. So I would do it probably quarterly, every 6 months, a year minimally when up for renewal. But you probably want to be proactive with that before it happens, because like on the homeowner side, like think about it. Like I live in Scottsdale, and 2021 housing prices went up 38%. This year they went up 28 or 20% already. Crazy. So in the last 18 months, it's went up 58%.
Crazy.
So most people, I can promise you, are underinsured on their policy.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's scary. So you got to keep up on all that stuff, because your number, and I'm sure the way insurance works on your side is it's all based on volume. A $10 million contractor is going to pay a heck of a lot more than a $1 million contractor. So those numbers have to be trued every year and every quarter, right? And you got to look at that. And I know it's expensive. I know it's difficult, but you can never have enough great insurance, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Give me a story, if you can think of one, of when an insurance company surprised you in terms of the level of service they provided and their interaction with one of your clients in a positive way.
Well, so here's the cool part. We do we have a lot of great relationships on the other side.
Right.
There's a lot of great adjusters on the other side of these carriers, and we are very fortunate. We're pretty well respected because we're fair. So
Right.
we get a lot of claims and deals done standing in the parking lot just by talking through it and making, I call them parking lot deals where you're just talking through it, and our job is to give them the right information they need to get the thing bought. So, there's been several times we had one of my contractors in Houston was struggling mightily with the claim it was a big HOA roof claim, and it was Chubb Insurance, and they were struggling getting it paid. They got us involved, and I made literally one phone call, and evidently the contractor wasn't structuring his paperwork correctly to get the balance of the money released. We came in and basically filled 2 pieces of paper out, got it off. In about 9 days, I had a check on my desk for the contractor. He's been grateful.
That's an interesting insight there, because I think sometimes the pain that we experience dealing with these large institutions isn't necessarily because they're trying to hose us. It's because we don't know how to interact with them correctly.
Well, keep in mind, my company has certain procedures and rules and guidelines we have to adhere to. And
Right.
if my guys go outside off those rails, it's a problem. So large corporations have rules, insurance companies have rules, and Department of Insurance has rules, statutes, and guidelines to live by with certain forms. So every time we contract, we literally have 38 different contracts for every state we work in, because they're all different, because they're guided by the Department of Insurance. Same thing with these corporations you guys work for. I'm sure they have a vendor packet sent out immediately to you guys. Say, look, when you guys are ready to bill, I need X, Y, and Z sent here with lien releases to this email address with this documentation, or it's not going to happen. So I think a lot of contractors. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm curious about these parking lot deals. What is it that helps you to close those parking lot deals, so to speak? What is it? What are you focused on when you're going into those conversations to make sure that things get moving along? So
the biggest thing, a sense of fairness. And I ask the adjuster on the other side what they need from us to get this thing done. Okay.
Okay.
And it is a negotiation, right? Once the biggest challenge for us as a public adjuster or in a law firm handling insurance litigation claims is getting coverage established. Okay. Once we get the coverage established, then we're in negotiation time, and we're going back and forth, and you're throwing numbers back and forth all the time. It's crazy what behind the scenes what happens. So, we're trying to find the sweet spot where the insured is made whole, the contractor can be profitable, and at the same time, we're treating the insurance company fairly, and that they're not overpaying at the same time, because they certainly don't want to do that. And if we become that guy, we're going to have a heck of a more time getting these claims negotiated and settled if we're overcharging every time, and we're looked at as the public adjuster that's overcharging. That's not what so fair is fair on both sides, right?
Right.
And that's what we try to strive for. So we have a dang good reputation, I feel, and I've been told that we're very fair, and our reports come in, they're accurate, and they're data driven. There's no emotion or feeling or pie in the sky stuff on those things. If this laptop is damaged and it's $2,300, our invoice is going to show $2,300.
Right.
So
when you're going into a negotiation,
and
I'm just curious, because it's always we're always negotiating all day, every day in all parts of our lives. What are you focused on to prepare yourself to be as effective as possible in a negotiation?
Man, so here's the thing. What most people know is every Department of Insurance, every state has different guidelines and statutes and laws that the carriers have to live up to, as well the insureds. So we are constantly going through litigation, looking at what got overturned, where it's at now. Is it a matching state? Deductibles. It changes literally by the day. It's insane. So we're continually updating that stuff, because we have to know what the playing field is when we're going into these claims. What's this? They have a 30-day statute or a 90-day proof of loss statute, and if we blow those dates ourselves, the insurance company's not going to tell us, right? So we have to be up on all that stuff. So we just make sure we're educated, we're trained, and we do 4 trainings a year all over the country for my team and all different. I've trained 200 of my competitors as well the last 3 years, to make sure that our industry as a whole is trying to keep up with these things because it is so ever changing. It's like you're running a sprint all the time because once again, North Carolina and South Carolina have completely different sets of laws. North Dakota and South Dakota have different, it's completely different. And one does not look like the other. There's similarities, of course, but at the end of the day, you got to make, and it's up to us to know that. Once again, the carrier's not going to come out and say, look, here's the statutes we're going to have to live up to. Our job is to hold their feet to the fire on the ones that we know about and make sure that process goes the way it's supposed to go. So it's
so the first thing I'm hearing there is that to be successful in negotiation, obviously you have to be prepared with the details.
Yes.
Because I think some people, they go into a negotiation and they think, my gift of the gab is going to help me to get through. And, because I like him and he likes me or something like that. But preparation is fundamental in terms of the details of whatever it is you're negotiating.
Correct. Right. 100%. Like in every business, right?
Yep.
Football games, baseball games, anything, the more prepared you are, football games are won in practice, not on the field. If you have a good game plan going in, and you're strong with what you're going in with, and you have a good grasp of it, and you're confident, you're going to win most cases.
So do you ever rehearse your negotiation before going into the meeting, like with your team?
Yeah, we have a game plan every time. We literally have a game plan. It's a little bit of, it's a chess game with us.
Yep.
So the last, on these large claims, we do claims that are $8, $9, $10 million. If we go in with an $8 or $10 million estimate up front, the brakes are going to get put on. It's going to go to their attorney, and this thing's going to go for 2 years.
Right.
So what we try to do is just be reasonable up front, and we talk through it. And once again, we try to get the coverage open and established. Say, yes, we have a covered claim.
Yes.
Once that's done, ironically, the money part becomes easy because then you're just talking about how much is the ISO bar today? How many square feet of ISO board are we doing? That's the easy stuff. And that's all science anymore. We have these Tramex machines. I can go on a big commercial building and I can prove how wet it is. That's what the damages are, right?
Right.
We have meteorologists we use that'll pull weather data for a specific property. I can tell you on 11:43 on Sunday if that property had hail or not, and if it did, how big the hail was, and things like that. So it's all very data driven, and a lot of research goes into this. We have engineers, meteorologists, forensic accountants. I have staff. All they do is make sure that they're reading these statutes over and over again, and it's quite a process on these larger claims. It's insane what goes into them. So
let me ask you, think back to a time, it can be years ago, but think back to a time when you lost in a negotiation, when you came out and you said, man, if I had just done X, Y, or Z, it would have gone better for me and my client. What happened in that negotiation?
Well, I mean, I can remember, 15, 20, 25 years ago, it's lack of experience, really. I mean, I'm 50. I started doing this in 1989, and things have changed. And boy, I look back now, I'm like, man, I probably should have got this customer a whole roof instead of half a roof. Or there's a million of those in my brain, and I'm like, damn, I probably should have fought if, and something pops up now. I mean, we're doing right now. Literally today, I got 3 huge ice dam claims in Telluride, Colorado from ice damming. And up until 5, 6, 7 years ago, we really didn't get the concept of ice damming. And now my engineer has educated us enough that we understand the concept of it. So now we're getting very successful with a bunch of ice damming claims in Nebraska and Colorado and Iowa. They have these things where 5, 6, 7 years ago, I probably didn't do our due diligence enough on that. If I got a call on one, I probably didn't put them in the best light possible to get that bought. Okay. So that's kind of a hard lesson to learn, and I get very frustrated with myself, and I'm not, but you can't win every battle, unfortunately. So.
Okay. So what's interesting to me though also is, let's say you're in negotiation with the insurance company and you reach a number that you're comfortable with, but your client, the contractor, is not comfortable. How do you handle that? When they're saying, someone's offering them $1 million and they're saying, I want $1.5 million, and if not, we're going to court. How do you handle that with them?
So what I've done in the past is I bring I'm a notepad guy. I still do my, nice. I write everything down. And literally it's a math equation. So we'll walk them through. It's like, okay, guys, you think you want 1.5, right? I got you 1.1, right? $400,000 off, which is going to be that's a profit margin or whatever. So we walk them through it. And so it does vary by state. So if a state has a great fee statute and we can take them to trial and the attorneys can get their fee paid from the court system
Mm.
outside the loss, that's a different circumstance, right? Oh, for only 4 or 5 states have that. Like if we have a state that the attorney fees come off the top of the claim, and I'm only a few hundred grand here or there difference, it's probably not worth going to court, because even if we do win, the fee statute is such that the attorney fees of 25 or 35% are going to come right off the top. So we're literally back at the number we were anyway, even if we do win. Plus, we're a year and a half down the road. So does it make sense to settle at the 1.1 and then have the contractor and the owner figure out a financing solution, or credit back the painting, or don't do some of the work? That's something that the contractor and the owner have to have some tough discussions on, because and there's no guarantees when you go to court you win, right?
Right.
So like, do you want 1.1 today? For sure.
Yes.
Or possibly in a year and a half from now, do you want 1.6, 1.7, and maybe have to end up paying 500 grand of that back to myself and the attorneys?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. I've had people, and what we really, 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 really try to do is keep our insured's emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Because they get upset and they're angry and like, man, I'm going to take my insurance. I've had enough. It's been 8 months of this, and I'm owed this, and I'm owed that. You know what I mean? They get passionate about it. And I feel that, and I understand that, but I try to, my big thing in the beginning of these claims is, guys, this is a business. This claim is a business.
Yep.
It's either, and it's got to be handled professionally, and it's got to be non-emotional, and it's all about dollars and cents for all of us. So let's keep that in mind, that I know you want to pound, the insurance company another $400,000. I get that. And you're probably, honestly, you may be owed that and justified that. I can't get you there right now. What do you want to do? And at the end of the day, it is their decision. And, and there's some tough conversations we've had. I'm not going to kid you. And I can only give my opinion and through my experiences, and we sit down, and 99% of the time they listen, and we tell them, go home, have a glass of wine. Yep. And we'll talk about it tomorrow, because here's your options, right? And I never let people make a decision the minute we talk about it, because I want them to sit back and think, and let's not. I mean, we got this far, and let's see what we have, because it's either 1.1 or 0 sometimes, right? So that's scary.
It's interesting, yeah. And then I just appreciate the reference there in honor of the Godfather's 50th anniversary, that we need to be reminded that it is business, not personal.
Yes. We do a lot of house fires and you can, you go home and your house is burned down, you lost everything. So your emotions are through the roof.
Yes.
So we tell our clients, like, you're going to have that 7 stages of grief through these claims.
That's very
anger,
good.
frustration, sadness. It's like a loved one dying, really. Your wedding album is gone. Your photo albums are gone. Your kids' trophies are gone. So you're going to go through that. And 9 times out of 10, we get these random texts on the Sunday night, all upset. And I'm like, ma'am, I told you, we spoke about this. Take a deep breath. And, so it is emotional, trying experience, and it's difficult. And when you're dealing with large numbers, it's hard and it's harsh.
Yep.
And the insurance company has a lot more zeros in their checkbook available than most corporations. So they control the narratives. You got to play their game.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you said something earlier. I just have to ask, in your view, when it comes to the topic of claims and all those kinds of things, what are the best states to do business in? So if I'm a contractor and I'm thinking of expanding, what states do I need to expand into?
Yeah. So if you want to do insurance restoration work, the best states are Florida. They have great laws. Colorado has fantastic laws. Minnesota has great laws. Washington has great laws. Texas is fairly okay. And Ohio has great laws. Tennessee has great laws. And the rest of them are not that great. And California has great laws. So you're 80% of the time, they are very heavily favored towards the insurance company. 20% of the time, they're favored toward the insured. And that's a function of the stats or the statutory regulations and the laws put in place by the Department of Insurance.
And does that go across, you spoke about restoration, but does that go into commercial contracting as well from your experience?
Yeah. Yep. Policies are, but some states are very, very lenient towards the insureds, and they have more protections. Like in Colorado, for instance, if you have a claim and we can prove bad faith, the insurance company is up for triple damages. So if they go to court and lose, it's $3 million, right? So a million, yeah. And that's, so it's all about risk for that. So the carriers in Colorado are a heck of a lot easier and faster getting claims paid because they don't want a $50,000 claim becoming a $150,000 claim like that. Because that's what would happen. Now in states like Illinois, it's extremely difficult. There's no statutory fees. If $50,000 claim, the attorney and myself take 35%. There's only 20 grand left. Nothing's going to happen. So the insurance companies know that. So they structure those settlements around the laws and statutes, as you can imagine they would.
Hey, Jack, this has been really helpful. So just to review what we've talked about so far, when a claim comes in, I got to stop. I've got to document. I've got to build my narrative. Then what I have to do is I have to be able to bring in outside help if necessary to help me to go through the process. And I have to separate emotion from business and understand the reality of what I can get today versus the challenge of going through the legal system and what I might get at the end or might not get. And then you have this idea, and I'm thinking again from a strategic point of view, if I'm a construction company and I'm looking to expand, taking into account the way that insurance claims are held, that can be one aspect of my strategic planning in terms of geographic expansion to different states.
For sure, 1,000%. That's why so many roofing companies are doing hail claims in Colorado, and so many roofing contractors want to do roof work in Florida because the laws are very lenient, and they get a lot of stuff paid down there in those two areas. That's exactly why there's a million guys there.
So Jack, you've been very generous with your time. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, VPA.
Well, Velocity Public Adjusting, we actually just started last June. I was with another firm for 5 years, and I partnered with a couple other people. And they love the back office stuff, and I love the front office stuff. So it's been a match made in heaven. We just won Public Adjuster of the Year 2 months ago, which is kind of a big kudos for us in our first year. That's never happened before, so we're pretty excited. We're licensed in 38 states. We have 17 guys all over the place running around doing claims. We have a complete back office staff. We have a marketing department. I'm very proud of the business we run. We try to do things ethically and morally and fairly for all sides. And we work very, very hard. My biggest selling point for our clients is we may not be the biggest or the baddest, but I'll tell you what, no one's going to outwork us. And that's what we do. And we have a lot of success, and I have great clients that trust us. And it's a crazy ride. We do a lot of hurricane work, and we've been in New Orleans for the last 6 months doing that. So it's been a crazy ride, and I wouldn't change a thing, thank God. And we're out here just the hardest part for us is nobody knows what we are. Nobody has ever heard of a public adjuster. So the hardest part of selling what we are or selling the claims, explaining what we do and why we do it. Nobody sees that part until you have something, right?
So if I'm a commercial contractor, when do I get in touch with you?
I'm a big Rolodex fan, guy. So I would always have a PA, an attorney, an engineer in my back pocket whenever I need them, because at 3 o'clock in the morning when you need us, you got to have somebody to call. So, I always have my Rolodex all set for people I need at a drop of a bucket. Same thing with claims. You got to have a PA or an attorney involved. You might as well interview them now before something happens. Have a 5-minute conversation with 2 or 3 of us and say, because there's a fit for everybody, right? My personality may not work for whoever, which is great. There's a lot of great PA firms out here. Know who they are and get to know them. So when something does happen, or you start doing insurance claims as part of your business, know who your go-to people are. That way, when something happened, it's a 3-minute phone call and you're ready to roll, and you're not wasting time interviewing or having to worry about it, because literally when things on fire, the thing's on fire. That's when you need us, right? So
how can folks get in touch with you?
Best way is email jack@vpa.claims. You can also call or text. My direct number is 480-766-6565. And I still handle all my own text and phone calls, and I'm old school with that. So communication is big for us. And I'm on the phone 14, 15 hours a day, typically talking and doing stuff. So it's crazy.
Great. Give me your number one more time, just so I got it.
Yep. 480-766-6565.
Excellent. Jack, I really appreciate your time. You've been very generous
That's
with
been
your
great.
insights. I know we got a number of takeaways here, and thanks for joining us today on Construction
We
Genius.
really, really appreciate it. Good luck to everybody out there.
Thank you for listening to Construction Genius today. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jack. He was bold enough to share his phone number, so if you want to reach out to him and get to know him and his services a little bit more, feel free to reach out to him via 480-766-6565. I tell you, that's one thing I don't do, is share my phone number publicly, only with my clients. And again, feel free to share this interview with other people that you think would benefit from it. I really appreciate you listening to Construction Genius. I get messages all the time from folks who get tremendous value from the show. And so the more people that we can share it with, the more benefit that they can derive. Thanks again for listening. Have a terrific week.